Weather isn't too good out here today, and it's going to rain probably in the next hour or so, but I've managed to switch tanks, and now we got the Halcyon grey tank on this bike with the matte black mudguards. So there's a rough idea for you to have a look at that. Like so, we'll swing around this way, give you a all round look. So that gives you an idea now what Halcyon grey tank looks like with matte black guards. A few guys have mentioned why, I'm thinking about glossing these guards. Well, it may happen or may not. It just depends at the moment on the weather, and the weather at the moment here where I live is starting to get pretty cold, so there's not much I can do about that as far as getting out there trying to paint mud guards, especially in a gloss paint. You might get away a little bit better if it was a matte finish, but at this stage, it's not worrying me one way or the other as far as it goes. I know when the time comes I can get in and get it out of the way and knock it over fairly quick. And at this stage I'm more in the experimental stage which way I'm going. But apart from that, it's very hard to say, if you look at it with a red chrome tanker. And if you look at it with the Halcyon grey tank on it, with the black guards, whether they're full gloss or matte, the bike looks sort of old style anyway, so doesn't make a great deal of difference, I suppose. But that's something for you. You can probably comment on that, tell me what you think of the Halcyon grey version. So that's something to do. Bike's running well out here. It's always good when you come along this place here where I go now. There's a bit of a dirt road there you come along, and you can ride along there fairly easy at 60 kilometres an hour and feel totally safe, where before with the Seat tyres I would probably run along there at say 45, because there's a lot of loose gravel on that road, and loose gravel doesn't give you much time to think about things. So as far as that goes, you do find when you come up here, like when I come into it, it's a little bit of a rough section when you come up through here, a lot of rubbish on the road. And when you look down into here, a sort of a rough little patch to come up, but nothing compared to what I've had some of the other bikes on. But the fact is, it's gripped well and it runs up there with no trouble whatsoever. So that's about it on this side, I think. Now you've got to look at it, bit of fooling around too, because it's just not a matter of saying I'll put the tank on. You got to put that adapter in place at the rear of the tank. Got to put the cap on, all that sort of stuff too, and then you got to change the fuel pump itself, so there's a little bit more involved than, it's not a 5 or 10 minute job. So at least one thing, it almost looks like it used to in the old days of the Halcyon grey. I often look back and think, for the miserable price I sold at Halcyon grey for $4,500, whatever it was, if I had it over again I just would have kept it, because really what can you do with 4,000? Nothing. So as far as that, it was just a waste of time, and I would have been better off just keeping it there and ride it whenever I felt like riding it. So but as far as that goes, I wouldn't go back up and see the bloke and ask him, does he want to sell it back to me, because believe it or not, I wouldn't buy anyone's second-hand junk unless I've got no choice, and I've always got choices, so I wouldn't be out there buying that. So I either like buying them new or not at all. So over the years I've been caught on quite a few second-hand bits of machinery, but mainly in cars. So if you pick a high-end car, it's pretty hard to spend the material to buy a good one, because a good one's always over 100,000. So but if you go in and buy a used, couple of years old, and buy them for half price, that goes with the territory, and also the problems whether they're near new or not. So as far as this goes with the bikes, seeing I'm out on these places where I ride in these back roads, I'm out by myself all the time. I think the best idea for me is buy a new one, and hopefully it's reliable, and if it is, well, I can go out into these places, ride around, ride back, know I'm going to get home, and all good there. But when you buy someone else's second-hand junk, well, maybe not the case, because regardless, what I've learned over the years, people tell you how well they looked after it, stuff like that, and most of them talk shit anyway, because I found that you know, what they say to get a sale and what actually happened is two different things. So in my case, you know, you could probably think that yourself, but when I sell the bikes, it's usually they're always still under, in most cases, warranty, only done low kilometres, just got sick of them, decided to move them out. So that's in most cases, except for that Halcyon grey when I sold it, that had 11,000 k's on it. So anyway, that's another story. So once again, I was just talking to the tyre bloke. I think Tuesday the off-road tyres go on the V-Strom 250 SX, and you know, like, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But if you like the look of this, you can leave a comment and say whether you like it. I'll give you another look over this bike again. I don't mind the rack on this, you know, I mentioned that on the other one, but the rack's pretty good. And what I failed to tell you, when I took this bike down to the bridle track, I actually just put a sort of a comfort seat on the back of, or temporary, nothing to do with it, a temporary sort of comfort seat on the back of that rack there. So that rack was carrying, believe it or not, roughly 55 kilos. Like, the wife was on there, she's about 50, and if you take onto account she had a backpack and heavy coat and all that, so it was carrying 55 kilos, that rack. So if somebody says, yeah, they'll only carry 10 or 15 kilos, bullshit. Like, she didn't say that the ride was all that comfortable, but she was sitting on there for the run along the track when we were going there. So, you know, overall everything's good in that one. So like I said, just about ready to rain now. Look at the sky, looks fairly crappy. I think wet weather's in for 2 or 3 days now, so I thought I'd just swing back out to this spot after I set the tank on and filled her up, and see how it run with it on, you know, because when you swap things around sometimes they might not run as good as when you first start off, you know, prior to the swap, especially when you pull pumps out and things. But it's running okay, so I can get back home now, and hopefully this will give you some good idea how the chrome red bike looks like with the Halcyon grey tank with the black mudguards. And at a later date, who knows, we may go into gloss black on those ones. Time will tell. But well, one thing I like about this, I like having the bikes, when I'm telling you now, is I like having them virtually new in the running gear and still to look old. So if you come up onto this one, you say to me, oh yeah mate, the side covers and the others all black gloss. Oh yeah. And I'd probably just say to you, oh yeah, but this is an old bike, I've had this quite a while now. And you know, I think I've had it now, I don't know, maybe about 8 months. So it's, you know, it's getting on a bit. So you know, it shouldn't, you can't expect them to look in mint condition all the time. So as far as that goes, we'll leave it at that, and I'll catch up with you later.